That's the next item on the, to use Zeruda's words, the agendum.
Well, that is the singular.
Oh, well. Yes. No. We have an agenda. Okay, the next agendum. So agriculture is what we want to talk about now. It's a favorite topic of mine because, take it or leave it, it's a major occupation provider.
My partner wants to be an agriculture.
I am already in agriculture. I'm already in agriculture.
Note, I didn't say farmer.
I'm already in agriculture.
Okay.
I give you a sample.
Agbekoya.
I give you a sample in the morning.
Of Agbekoya.
So, a large portion of the people of Oyo State are engaged. Over 70% of the state's workforce are in this practice already. Oyo State has a population of 415,030 farm families, according to the 2007 crop enumeration exercise. Well, maybe Oyo State should actually be the food basket of the nation, but we don't know that about yet. Let's get into the conversation.
Don't let Benue State hear you.
I won't let them hear. Well, he's Dr. Debo Akonde is next guest. Is executive advisor on agribusiness Oyo State and director general of Oyo State Agribusiness Development Agency, IITA. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start by accusing Oyo State. Yes, Oyo State is my state, so I can accuse you of taking the back seat in agriculture. Over the years, because we all know we are all beneficiaries of some of the big things that agriculture did for the Southwest in the First Republic. And the famous Cocoa House is a monument to that claim. So,
indeed,
what happened and how are you reversing the trend?
Thank you very much, Hayo. I heard you earlier saying that, and I think I heard Madam Alero saying that you are an agriculturist. Probably you're a farmer or an agriculturist. I think I will start from there. I'm hoping that you are not aiming towards the cutlass and hoe agriculture.
That was my grandfather.
And then you exactly, and that is where we're going to be starting from.
Okay.
What we've had. When we came on board, I did an analysis of what has been going on in agriculture within the state. By the way, as a way of an open declaration as well, I work with IITA. I'm a scientist. I still work with IITA. And I look at the financial aspect, look at the budgetary allocation and things like that, policies, programs. And let me start from the financial aspect. From 2017 to 2019, you find it very difficult to believe that the total budget that is allocated to agriculture is around 3.39% of the total budget of the state from 2017 to 2019. It is not enough to just look at that. Of that 3-point-something%, let's even say around 4%, the total spending is less than around 20%. Okay.
Of the 3%.
Of the 3%.
Why is that?
I'll go to that. And if you look at the around 20% that we are making reference to, you look at where they are allocated towards, then you start seeing the reasons why Oyo State has gone back on the issue of agriculture. One, African Union, CADA, recommend that for you to do anything significant in agriculture, your annual budget spending, not allocation, should not be less than 10%
of your budget.
Of your budget. So, if you look at what is going on, it means that the state has not, during that period, prioritized agriculture. You may prioritize agriculture by word of mouth, but your actions need to be seen going into that particular area as well. So, if your resources is not allocated towards that area, then it's an issue. I also made a reference to the fact that where is this budget going to? Less than 5% of that budget is what goes to what we call the rural infrastructures. Now, agriculture in this DNA age require quite a lot of resources agriculture in this generation has gone beyond the issue of cutlasses and hoes. We are making reference to what we can call industrial agriculture. I've had on numbers of occasions where we have, as a nation, mentioned that we want to diversify from oil to agriculture. And I question the action we are taking, towards that particular area, especially what we are doing in moving from rudimentary agriculture, the subsistence agriculture, to a more of an industrial agriculture.
Okay.
If you are focusing towards industrial agriculture, and I'm going back to your state now, one of the critical things that you need to do is to ensure that your infrastructures in the rural area are well built and tailored towards those industrial agriculture.
That's quite a huge spending. As I said, I've had to visit rural parts of some rural parts of Oyo State, and I've found out that the rural infrastructure is not even anything to write home about, much less write home about.
Very correct.
Because if anything, if memory serves me right, the infrastructure that we had in some of those rural areas, they, in my opinion, date back to the 60s, and there had been nothing done to upgrade that. And you also know how difficult it is to transport anything from the farms if we do not work at that. What's the priority in that regard?
So what has happened? The narratives changed when this government came on board. And I'm giving you data that you can look and check yourself. From 2020 up until now, the budgetary allocation to the agricultural sector has increased, has improved.
To what?
To this year, we have around 8.7% of the total. It's not up to the 10% yet.
But we're coming. We're coming.
Exactly. From 6.68 to 8.7. It's not
and before that, from 4 point...
where there was a 2017, it was around 4.2%. At 3.1%.
So we've doubled it.
We've doubled it.
Okay.
Beyond doubling it, we have also ensured that these budgets are rightly allocated towards what is going to create an industrial agriculture. What do I mean by that? Over 62% of our current agricultural budget is going to agricultural infrastructures within the state. Around 20 to 30% is going towards support for young entrepreneurs in agriculture and the rest for smallholder farmers. It used to be the reverse in the past. This budget is also complemented by other budgets within the state as well. I can rightly tell you that the local government this year supported the state with close to around 1 billion on agriculture.
The local government?
The local government.
Supports?
Exactly.
Wow.
Support state.
That makes a change.
Exactly.
Normally it's the other way around.
It is not as if the state gave, the local government gave the fund to the state. That's not what I mean. But it support the strategy in relation to agribusiness. So they have close to around 1 billion that they use in supporting training of young enterprise, in agribusiness.
Pause.
And it is their fund.
Pause.
Yes.
I'm hearing for the first time in how many years, Alero, that local government is supporting state government. Not state government telling local governments what to do.
So what happened was that when we came on board again as well, we looked around for what are the strategy that the state is using for agribusiness. We didn't find any. So there is a strategy now that we designed, we worked on. And part of that strategy, one of the key components of the strategy is how to create a new set of actors in agribusiness. The youths are one of those ones that we have identified. And when the local government chairmen were elected, I was one of the people that did a presentation to all of them about what is the strategy of the state in terms of agribusiness. And they bought into this idea as well, that at the local government level, they also want to engage. So if you hear that the state is training youth in agribusiness within the state, as a matter of fact, most of these states are picked by the local government, different local government.
Forgive me for bringing this up.
I beg your pardon. I must call to mind a conversation we had with a lecturer in agriculture of a university who told us point blank that students were not interested in going into.
That's the question I was going to ask you.
Well, He may be right.
She, actually.
Or she may be right. They may not be interested in going to agriculture if what you portray to them is the agriculture of cutlasses and hoes.
Okay.
What we are talking about in Oyo State is agribusiness. We are making reference to
agriculture.
Okay.
Not just
what
agriculture.
What is agribusiness?
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Break it down, please.
I always like to use the creative arts as an example of the difference between the agriculture and the agribusiness. And what do I mean by that? And I think that is what resonate with a lot of Nigerians. If we make reference to creative art as the combination of the music and the film industry combined together. And I remember that there was a generation of the Ogundes, that started it, and they were just probably doing it because it's something that is okay and is nice to do. And of course, they had a bit of resources here and there to survive. Then they moved to another generation of probably the Baba Salahs and of this world, and that started with creative industries that are just probably providing money for them to pay house rents and basic things like that. I used to remember that even costumes that they were using in those days were costumes that probably you will see in different films. One costume that 4 or 5 of them were using.
And they had to hire.
And then suddenly something happened. You have the generation of your Don Jazzy, your Genevieve, that translate the whole creative industry to more of a business. So what changed? What you find that is very critical to the Ogun days and your Don Jazzy and your Genevieve is that, one, they no longer see it as a cultural thing. They no longer see it as a pastime. It becomes a business to them. The second thing is that they adopted the use of innovations and technology in what they are doing. And they didn't just see it as something that can just pay their bill. They see it as something that can create wealth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they move towards that. And now we are talking about seeing something that is creating, supporting the GDP of this country, from the creative. That, literally in a layman term, is what the difference is between agriculture and agribusiness.
But then perhaps that also speaks to the need to rejig the academic curriculum to the effect. Because unless what you're saying is included in the curriculum to teach accordingly, the teachers are still at a loss. Anyway, I'll let you go deal with that.
So you are right. And what we've done within Oyo State is that creating the mindset within the young people and ensuring that there is an orientational change in their mind towards agribusiness. We are currently training or retraining a good number of young people within the state now. We started with 1,000. Excellency said we should move it to 3,300 so that to be able to allocate to every local government now it has increased to 10,000.
Okay. Well, we don't have much time. My sincere apologies. So let's look at so this Oyo Agricultural Development Plan. What is it?
So this plan is the guiding light, if we can call it in that manner, as to how to move Oyo State from where it is now to ensuring that agribusiness truly support the economical development of the state.
What is this that we're seeing on the screen? Can you talk to us?
So this is one of the training that is taking place for the Oyo State Youth Entrepreneurship Project now.
Okay.
Like I said, 10,000 of them are currently being trained, and those people that you are looking at there
wearing
are
hats.
all Oyo State citizens.
Wearing hats.
Wearing hats, being trained in the modern approaches to agriculture or agribusiness, as it were.
Just
okay,
on
so in other words...
Just on the side, so the hat must also be very modern. Yeah, you were saying something.
So you are now trying to displace Benue as the food basket of the country.
Well, in reality, I think we're not even using Benue as our benchmark.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so where are you using?
If I can give you something very small statistics, Oyo State's landmass, 28,000 square kilometers, is bigger than the whole of Rwanda as a country. Its landmass
eye-opener
is bigger than the whole of the southeast of Nigeria combined together.
That is even divided from Osun?
Oyo State, as it is now. Bigger than the whole of the southeast of Nigeria. Belgium is just 1,000 square kilometers bigger than Oyo State. So we are benchmarking ourselves against combined southeast of Nigeria, Rwanda, or Belgium.
Okay. And what's the goal? What's the
ambition?
Goal? Yeah, I mean, because, you know, the challenge for me here is, even the president said, if you remember, was it 4% or 20% of Nigeria's land mass that is being used for anything? Habitation, agriculture, whatever it is. And I'm pretty sure it's the same for Oyo State. You know, with all of the arable land, how much of it is being used for anything?
Currently, maybe we are using less than around 5%. I did an analysis and I said that even if we have up to 1 million farmers, smallholder farmers within the state, if we have up to 1 million farmers, mostly smallholder farmers don't do less than half an hectare, at most. FAO data, any data. That means that we are only using around 5,000 or less than 5,000 square kilometers of the 28,000 or 26,000 square kilometers that we have in the state.
So there's large room for improvement.
And over 70% of this land is arable.
So what are you waiting for?
So that is what has determined the actions we are taking now. I probably think you've heard that we are establishing agribusiness industrial hub across the whole of the state. So we've started. We are not, it's not hypothetical. We are not saying we are building. We started building it.
Okay.
So the popular and known fashola is now being revamped.
Okay.
1,200 hectares of land, you know, being built as an agribusiness industrial hub. We are doing similar thing in Erua. We have close to around 10 to 11 farm settlements that were left moribund. If you go to the state, I will be honest with you. At a point in time when I got to one of these places, I shed tears. I became emotive. So some people have vision to establish this kind of a thing, you know, in the 60s. And some generation came and they left, they allow it to become moribund.
But sometimes it's frustration. The system frustrates them.
I agree, you know, but the fact remains that have we genuinely even focused towards. I remember when we came on board and we have discussion, we have our time to discuss with the secretaries, and the agreement we had, which is leadership, is that we ensure that all our support that we are giving in terms of infrastructure are focused towards the agribusiness, and it started with that.
What's happening with cocoa?
We have to go, but before we go, you may answer that question in this space. What are the opportunities and what's the entry point for anyone who wants to invest in agriculture in Oyo State? You know and I know, and many people would hold that opinion, that doing business with government is a problem because of bureaucracy.
You're right. It's high risk.
It is high risk.
So is there a genuine plan, a consolidated plan, maybe like a one-stop shop that, okay, you want to do business?
So we know that this problem is existing, and that is why the state established the Oyo State Agribusiness Development Agency, which is now the one-stop shop for all private investor or all investor in agribusiness within the state. And I happen to be the DG of the agency.
Dr. Akonde, you have to really vet the staff that you employ so that they don't frustrate people to come there and then they're asking for you know what.
There's a very strong monitoring and evaluation system within that particular organization to ensure that thing that you're talking about didn't happen.
That's what kills a lot of these.
That thing is.
That's what kills a lot of these ideas.
Above my head, so, but I have to thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me,
Dr. Deborah Akonde, because all of the things that you're talking about, well, you know, Alero has exposed me to you already, so maybe she will be knocking on your door on my behalf. Well, Dr. Deborah Akonde is Executive Advisor on Agribusiness in Oyo State, and he is also Director General of Oyo State Agribusiness Development Agency. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me
this morning.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, Sunrise continues in a mo. Do stay with us.